Hello everybody, my name is Sian Burton. I am your private practice marketing and scaling expert. And this week we are talking about how to stop your team from asking stupid questions or unnecessary questions. If you ever find yourself trying to take time away from your practice and being hounded on phone or text or email by your team asking questions that they should know the answers to, this training is for you. I'm going to talk you through why it happens, and some strategies to use to stop it, and to stop it quickly as well. And in stopping it, identify who are the rock stars in your team and who are your weak links in your team, so that you can really start to identify where the problem is and where the problem isn't. But unfortunately, what you're probably going to pick up is that some of the issue is starting with you. So let's talk about that, because that's where we need to start, with how you show up. So the reason I find with team that they ask lots and lots of questions that they could go and find the answer to is because they can. So they ask, you answer. It's human nature, right? I am a smart, intelligent woman, young lady in this story I'm going to share with you. Very able to use initiative, very able to find solutions to problems. And yet I would ask my head of marketing questions all the time when he first started. So I was a national marketing manager. He came in as our new head of marketing, and I would ask him questions about what I should do all the time. Not because I couldn't figure out the answer, but in most part because I didn't want to get it wrong. I wasn't sure that if I didn't make the right decision or do it the right way, that I wouldn't get into trouble, look bad, miss out on promotion, look like an idiot, etc., etc. So to avoid any of that, I would just ask, should I advertise in this paper? They're offering me this. Which ad should I use? This one or this one? Should I have an open day on the Friday or the Saturday? And it went on and on and on. Not, like I said, because I couldn't find the answer or didn't know the answer or wasn't smart enough to identify the answer, but because why would I put that risk on myself of getting it wrong when I can ask you, the boss, and you tell me the right answer and then I'm safe? So that's where this comes from, right? It's not that your team don't have access to the information or can't just think for themselves. They're just in a situation where they have the opportunity to ask you because you answer, and therefore they do. So that's the first thing that we're going to look at, is how do you stop them from asking in the first place? Because they will just keep asking otherwise. And you can't just say, stop asking me questions, because they will just keep doing it. I'm sure many of you have found that. You're like, okay, I'm going to go away for the day. Please don't text or call me. And they still will text and call you because they need to make decisions and they don't want to make them on their own. So I'm going to share with you what this head of marketing, how this head of marketing trained me. I was going to say what he did to me, but that sounds really bad. How he trained me out of this behavior. So within a few weeks, he started to implement this approach, right? He would never answer my questions, but he did it in a very smart way. And I use this now I use it with my clients, I use it with my kids, I use it with my husband, I use it with my team. And this approach has actually changed how I approach everything in life. So it's not just about training your team to stop asking you questions. It actually empowers them to change the way they think and the way that they approach things in life, and can have a really long-lasting impact. Like, I worked with this guy 13 years ago, and this is something I still carry with me and use today. So what he used to do to me was, I would say to him, hey Bob, so-and-so publication is called and ask if we want to promote in there. And he would say, what do you think we should do? So that's his first response. What do you think we should do? If I said, I don't know, he'd say, okay, how could you come to a decision on whether we should or not? Oh, well, I could go and look at the publication. I could look at what their readership is. I could do, okay, go and do that. And then come back to me and let me know what you think. So I'd be like, okay. So I'd go away and do that. And I'd come back to him and say, okay, well, this, and this. So here's what it looks like. So what do you think we should do? Well, I think it makes sense to do it. Like, it's not too expensive. It's the people we want to reach. So yeah, I think it makes sense to do it. Okay, so you go do it. And so off I would go and go do it. Now, if I still didn't know at that point, or if I'd have said to him something where, we've got this problem, what should I do about it? He would say, what do you think? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. He'd say, right, go away and think of 3 ways that we could solve this problem, and then come back to me when you've got them. So I'd go away and think of 3 ways to solve the problem. I go back to him and here are my 3 ways. Okay, which one do you think is the best option there? Well, I think that the first one's the best option. Okay, why do you think it's the best option? Because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, great. Go away and do that then and come back to me and let me know how it goes. Okay, so off I go. He would do this to me relentlessly. He would never answer my questions. If I went with a question, he would ask me what I think I should do. And if I didn't know, he would send me away to find information to come back and make a decision on. And then as long as there wasn't anything super out of the ordinary there that was a concern for him, he would send me off to do that thing. If I had a problem, he would send me away and ask me to come back with 3 solutions. Then he'd ask me which one I thought was the best solution. And unless there was something glaringly obvious as to why that was a problem, he would send me to go and do that thing. Now, maybe in there they weren't the things that he would have necessarily have done or the solutions he would have come up with. But here's the thing, ladies. If you want everything to be done exactly the way that you want it to be done, or you would do it, that's fine. But your team are going to continue to ask you questions because you're not empowering them to think for themselves. You're just telling them you have to do it the way I say. That's the only way to do it. And if you don't do it that way, it's wrong. Well, then, of course, they're asking you questions because they need to do it the way that you would do it. Otherwise, they're going to be wrong. So that's the first thing I want you to take from what he was doing. He would, as long as it was a viable solution, whether it was what he would do or not, he would have me go do it. Now, what happened over time was that a problem would arise and I'd be like, he's going to ask me to think of 3 solutions. There's no point going and asking him because I know he's going to ask me to come with solutions. So I'll just come with the solutions. So I would just come with solutions. So I'd come, here's the problem. Here are my ideas on the solution. So now I'm not coming to you with a problem. I'm coming to you with solutions. That in itself, ladies, is huge. You don't have to think then because the person's already bringing you solutions. You just need to navigate them picking a solution and running with it. So I would come to him with solutions. Then over time, and this isn't years, this is a couple of months of him 19 times out of 20 going with what I thought was a good solution, I just stopped coming to him with the solutions. And instead I would come to him and say, hey, Bob, this has happened. Here's what I think is the best solution to do it, to solve it. These are the steps I'm going to take. Does that sound okay? He'd be like, yep, that sounds fine. Off you go. Very occasionally, he'd be like, have you thought about this? And have you considered this? Like he would teach me where I needed to be taught. But like I said, if it was a viable solution to a problem that I could go and run with, and I had a plan, he would just leave me go do it. What that then led to was a point where I would only go to him with problems I really wasn't sure on how to solve. Because I know if I come to you with a problem and I come to you with the solution I think is good, and I've got a plan, 19 times out of 20, you're going to go and tell me to do it. So I've got the confidence now just to go and do it. I don't need to keep coming and telling you these things because you've empowered me that I know how to problem solve, I know how to create a plan, and that I'm capable of going off and implementing that plan. So it meant that if I went to him and said, Bob, I have this problem, I really don't know how to solve it, he knew that I didn't know how to solve it, and we could use it as a teaching opportunity for me to understand what the solutions to that problem might be. How many questions do you think that Bob got each day? Very few. He got very few for me. And the rest of the team, where they understood how this worked and they grasped it in the way that I did, he got very few from them. The one team member that he continued to get a lot of questions from was the one team member who was not able to think of solutions and was not able to problem solve and not able to come up with a plan, and so had to ask him for help consistently. Well, now you know the weak link in your team and the person who doesn't have initiative or isn't able to do their job well and who either needs to be managed out or supported or moved into a different role. The rest of your team are fully empowered. They're doing their job. They're taking ownership. They're coming to you with solutions. They've to problems they've already solved. Oh, this happened. Here's a solution I implemented. It's fixed now, but I thought I'd let you know. They're not on the phone to you constantly. They're not asking you stupid questions. You're not having them to direct them back to policies and procedures, because they know that if they come and ask you a question, they're just going to get that response. So, in that, like, you're not even telling them what the policy says. Where do you think you might find the answer to that question? Because what I hear a lot of owners say is, I told them where the policy was and I sent it to them. Right, but you did the job for them. They didn't have to think, because they didn't have to maybe get the wrong policy or maybe read the wrong thing. You fed it to them on a plate. Even though you directed them to the policy, they're still going to come back and ask you which policy they need to look at, because that's what you gave them. When you say to somebody, what do you think you should do? Where do you think you could find that answer? They have nowhere to go but to go and try and find it. Now, I do want to warn you that this will drive your team insane to start off with. You'll get this thing where you put boundaries in place with kids and they push up against it and they get frustrated because it didn't used to be like this. You just used to give me the answer and now you're not. This is very frustrating. But you have to hold firm in that with that boundary. If you know there's a place for them to go find it, or you believe they are capable of thinking of a solution, empower them to go and do that. How do you think you might solve that problem? You don't know? Please go away and think of 3 ways we might solve it and come back to me and let's talk about those ways. Where do you think you might find the answer to that? You're not sure? Okay, go and have a look through our operations manual and see if you can figure out what policy that might sit under. You don't know how to deal with this client, come back to me with some ideas about how we might approach it. Like, don't give them anything. Don't give them an inch, because they'll take a mile, as you know. But over time, and once you've got over that initial frustration, what you'll find is that your team stop asking you questions. They go and find the information for themselves. They problem solve. They come up with solutions. They implement them, and you never know that anything went wrong. Like, imagine how much difference that makes to your life when that's where your team get to. And it comes from you empowering them, not from performance managing them or telling them that they're doing the wrong thing. It comes from you empowering them and teaching them this skill of being solutions orientated. And it's a skill that they will take with them forever. So whenever anything goes wrong in my life now, my brain doesn't look at the problem and go, oh, we're on our way to an activity centre, but I've just realised that the activity centre is fully booked this morning and we can't get there, and I've got 2 kids excited in the back. Oh, well, we'll go home and I'll deal with the fallout. My brain goes, okay, so they're fully booked this morning. We've got someone coming this afternoon. How can I solve this problem? Okay, I could switch the person that's coming in this afternoon and see if they can come this morning, and then I can book in this afternoon because the play centre's not full. Let's do that. I get on the phone, I organise it, and I'm teaching my children that when there's problems, there's solutions. Just need to find them. And I do this in everything. If something doesn't work, I say to my kids that there's always a way to fix it. We just have to find out what the solution is. There aren't problems that can't be solved. There's just solutions to find. And I know that sounds quite cliche, but the way it empowers you as a person in your life to take control of things is huge. The impact it has in your business for you when you're looking for solutions to problems, not being held down by problems, and the time and energy and headspace it gives back when your team aren't on the phone to you for stupid things incessantly, because that's easier than going and looking for the answer or thinking for themselves. So I'd love to hear in the comments how you found that, what it brings up for you, what your thoughts are. Is this something you can see yourself implementing? Can you see how this shows up in your business? And if this has been helpful and you're like, oh my goodness, I need more of this, like my team are driving me insane. We need better systems. We need better policies and procedures around our team. I need to be a better leader with them. Then book in a call, a free Feminine Way to Scale consultation, and we can help you look at what's going on in your business, why you're not achieving the big goals that you want to achieve, and how we can support you to take the steps you need to do to get towards that dream practice that you want to build. So comment below, let me know your thoughts on this. I'm excited to hear from you, and I will see you ladies again next week for another training.